Some time ago, the congregation realised we had some difficulties that we needed to look at. One was the fact that older people within our congregation, when they were unable to look after themselves in their homes, they had to move to other communities and leave the Balnarring community and all their friends, and we felt that that wasn't very good. Secondly, we needed to develop our own premises to expand them to provide a wider mission within the community. And we wondered how we could perhaps put those two together. We had the opportunity to use some of our surplus land to the north of the church, where there's a large parcel of land growing pine trees. And we decided that perhaps Uniting Aged Care could be interested to help us develop some sort of program. We went to them and talked with them. They were enthusiastic. They looked at the demographics of the area and found a large number of old people within this community, and that as time went by, most of those would need some sort of help, whether it be in their own home or alternative accommodation. And we attended your workshop in February to learn a little bit of how to talk with people. And following that, we held a conversation with our people and some of the wider community in April. That information has now been collated, and aged care find it pretty interesting and hopeful, and we've now moved on to arranging a community workshop on the 1st of September. And to that we'll invite community groups as well as individuals who we think can contribute and would be interested. From that, hopefully we'll develop briefs to move on to our next step. Beside us on the western side, there's an old railway reserve that went to Red Hill. The railway was closed in 1956, and the land has, again, just grown pine trees since then. And we've approached the Mornington Shire, Peninsula Shire, if we could obtain the use of that land to add to ours. We've obtained a rather enthusiastic reception there. They too see the need for further opportunity for older people within the community, and we're very hopeful that both parcels of land can be put together into a bigger area to provide adequate room for our development. And then the other thing, of course, which has become apparent to us from our community discussions, is that there is also a need to provide additional services within this community to help some of the people remain for a longer period in their own homes. And it may be that we can base such sort of services here to, as well as work with the people who might live here in the future, to extend those services out into the community, or perhaps sometimes some of the community coming here for individual services.
The simplest and most powerful investment any member of a community or an organisation may make in terms of community building is to begin talking with other people as though the answers mattered.
The most powerful community tool in the world is the art of conversation. We need to have conversations to understand what it is people care about enough to act. When we listen deeply to people, we're almost acting as explorers or investigators on a treasure hunt for care. I don't know if any of you have ever been to a community meeting where you have said this should be done, that should be done, and something else should be done. I know I have. I've got really excited about it, but when I turn up at the next meeting, I'm the only person there. It took me a while to realise that I wasn't listening properly. I thought I was hearing people say, we ought to do. Instead they were saying, someone else should do. You know, when you find something people care about, when they say, we will do. I'd like you now to have a learning conversation with someone you haven't spoken to much during the workshop. I'd like each of you to take turns and try to discover what the other person cares deeply about.
If I were asked what to do about the level of insecurity and anxiety in contemporary Australian society, I wouldn't start with politics, and I wouldn't say too much about terrorism. I'd suggest, as the first step, that you invite the neighbours over for a drink this weekend. Today a drink, tomorrow a barbecue, pretty soon a community.
Here's a set of questions that may help you to understand what people value and care about. Use these questions if you find them useful. I want you not to only listen, but really try and watch and feel what is happening and emerging. Where is the energy coming from? When people are talking about what they care about, how do you know? What is happening with their voice, their expression, and their body language? Take 20 minutes, I know it won't be long enough, discover what your partner cares about.
Questions for conversation at the dinner table, pub, church or coffee shop. What do you most value about your neighbourhood? What 2 most important concerns do you have about your neighbourhood? A time when you experienced something successful, something you were proud of in the neighbourhood. Would you like to become more involved in making the neighbourhood better? How? What are your skills, interests and talents? What would you like to learn? What would you like to teach?